Good evening, everyone. If everyone will take a seat, we'll get started. So we want to welcome everyone tonight to the Putnam Republican Club November meeting. Tonight's a special meeting because we have not only have Gator DeLoach with us tonight and Joe Wells, but we also will be having our election of officers tonight. So we're going to start this evening, like always, with prayer and invocation, and so we're going to ask Larry Harvey to lead us in prayer, and Bobby Jackson, if I could ask you to lead us in the pledge.
Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for a day of today, a day we've never experienced before in our life. Father, we thank you that we can make a difference in people's lives and invest in those people. Father, we ask that you bless our meeting tonight. Bless everything that's said and done. Bless the Republican Party, Father, because we believe we're headed in the right direction and that you will honor that. Father, we thank you for everything that you do for us. Father, you give us wisdom if we ask. You give us grace when we even don't ask. But Father, tonight we just ask a blessing upon this meeting. Be with each and every one of us. Give us traveling mercy back home. And Father, we ask all of this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. So tonight we're going to welcome our dignitaries. We have Larry Harvey, County Commissioner, and we have Charles Overturf, Supervisor of Elections. I don't see any other elected officials in the room. Have I missed someone? I was in the corner. Oh, Mayor Jamie Watts. Thank you, sir. And the sheriff, who will be our guest speaker. So with that, we also have, I think, some new members, new as a member tonight. If you're a new member as of tonight, would you raise your hand so we can recognize you? A new member tonight? Thank you so much. And then we have visitors tonight. If you're a visitor, if you'll raise your hand so we can recognize you as a visitor with us tonight. Thank you so very much. And this is the time when we talk about our veterans and introduce our veterans. But before we do that, I wanted to read a little something to all of you. So as you all know, tomorrow is a day that we recognize, and it's a day of celebration. But in some ways, it's a solemn one. Originally observed as Armistice Day, the 11th day of the 11th month marked the anniversary of the end of World War I. And honored its fallen. As our country and much of the world mourned, there remained a desperate glimmer of hope that the Great War could indeed be the war to end all wars. Of course, we know that it wasn't. World War II followed less than 2 decades later, then the Korean War, Vietnam, and the Gulf War. It was only 2 years ago that we ended America's longest war, the war in Afghanistan. As war and conflict continue, so too did the courage and sacrifice of American men and women who defended our nation and its interest. Many paid the ultimate sacrifice. In 1954, as a result of the years-long campaign led by World War II veteran Raymond Weeks, Armistice Day became Veterans Day, a day to commemorate all veterans of all wars and all eras, past, present, and future, living and dead. While the hope of the world without war faded and we continued to mourn our fallen, November 11th became a day of celebration and gratitude. And so on this eve of the 69th Veterans Day, I am grateful to be here with you to honor all the veterans, but especially those veterans here today. Thank you. Your service and sacrifice represent the best of us and the best of America. We salute you and appreciate the great cost that often comes with serving. if you're able, please stand and be recognized as I call your name. Please, if you'd like, share with us your branch of service, your rank, and the years of service. So I thought I would start over here. Mr. Keith, would you let us recognize you?
Sure. Tom Keith, 31 years in the United States Navy, 29 years in SEAL Team 2 and SEAL Team 6.
Thank you, Mr. Keith. At this table, do we have any veterans? I don't believe so. Are you a veteran? Please stand and tell us your name.
I'm Robert Lindsay, served in the United States Army Gun, Army 2nd Battalion, 40th Infantry. I was there when the wall was still up, and it's an amazing thing when I saw it go.
Thank you, sir. Bobby, you and Barry?
Robert Jackson, I went in 1963, served in 1965, got my honorable discharge, and went to work at Sears and tripled my income while my husband at the time finished his service. Back with
Andrew Jackson, and I was in there 44 years.
David, do we have a microphone that we could take around? That would be helpful. So we can hear.
Directly into it. Yes, sir. Like I said, I was 4 years sergeant, Air Force, and all I did was watch that screen all day. Watch for northern incoming, the whole northern hemisphere recovered.
Thank you, Barry, for your service so much. Let's pass it down. Les?
I'm Les Sims, U.S. Navy, 1994-98. I enlisted as a rescue swimmer and aviation ordnance.
If you're a veteran, just please raise your hand and let Yoma pass you the microphone.
Yeah, my name is Judy Rangel. I served from 1988 to 1992 as a gentleman. My last duty station was at Nancy Jackson.
John Guiano, U.S. Navy, 1972, Vietnam, DD-851 Erda destroyer. Was out on Yankee Station and up and down the coast, blowing up stuff.
Al Cowers, U.S. Army, 66 through 69.
Thank you.
Bob Bowman, United States Marine Corps, 1958 to 1962.
Johnny Steedley, got drafted in 67, done 18 months in Vietnam and got it.
Any other veterans?
Anyone else?
Here, right in front of you, Yoma. Earl.
Earl Ballinger, United States Air Force, 1960 to 64.
Thank you, Earl. So is that all of our veterans? I want to make sure we didn't miss anyone.
John Zager, I served in the Army from 1962 to 1968. 4 years in Germany and 1 year in Vietnam.
And I'll embarrass my friend Steve Huntley, Army Lieutenant during the Vietnam era. Thank you, Steve, for your service.
that it? Anyone else?
So this Veterans Day, let's celebrate what we can accomplish when we come together. Let's recognize that service doesn't end in the military, and that thank you is just the beginning of gratitude. So please lend an ear to the veterans in our community, and if you can, donate your time and efforts to local organizations who help those who served. Thank you for taking the time to honor our veterans today. God bless all of you, bless our veterans, and bless the United States. Thank you. So moving on, we're going to handle a quick piece of business, and it's always pretty quick, takes less than about 10 minutes. And that's our election of officers for the club. This is the month we're in our bylaws, we're required to hold an election. We do have a quorum. Quorum is 38 because of our membership. We have to have 20%, and we have how many? 43 members in attendance tonight. So we do have a quorum. What I'd like to start with is, I'll start with the position of president. I'm telling you all that I will not serve again next year as president. It's been a great 2 years, but I need to move over and make room for someone else to come in. 2024 is going to be a great year, and it's going to be a difficult year. And so what I'd like to do is nominate David Enzor to return to the place of president. David, would you accept that nomination?
Yes. I accept.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, any other nominations from the floor for president? All right, seeing none, I'll close the nominations. I don't, do we have a second? All right, Bobby. All right, so all in favor for David, please say yay. Yay. All opposed? David Enzor, thank you very much, sir. You are the new president. Now know that these positions take effect in January. So what I'll be doing is I will be moving to the position of immediate past president on the board. So I will still be on the board, I'll just be in that position of immediate past president. So now we need to move on to vice president. So do I have a nomination for vice president?
I'd like to nominate Yama Goodhue.
All right, we have a nomination of Yoma Goodhue. Is there a second?
So moved.
Okay. Is there any other nominations? Seeing none, we will close the nominations. All in favor of Yoma Goodhue for vice president, please say yay. Yay. Opposed? Yoma, congratulations. You are vice president again next year. Okay, now we move on to secretary. So do I have a nomination for secretary? You'd like to nominate Ann Crawford. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Les. Are there any other nominations? Ann, you accept? I'm hoping you do. Where are you? There you are.
I was waiting for somebody else to step up.
All right. We'll close the nominations. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Ann. You are once again our most worthy secretary. She does a phenomenal job for us. All right, we're going to move on to treasurer. So do I hear a nomination for treasurer?
I nominate Bob Emery for treasurer.
Bob Emery for treasurer.
Second.
All right, we have a second. Bob, do you accept?
I accept.
All right, do we have another nomination for treasurer? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Bob, congratulations. You're now the new treasurer. That was pretty painless. Thank you so much, everyone. So now we'll get on to what is the really fun part of the program, and that's for our guest speaker. Yoma, do you have a introduction? All right.
Good evening and welcome. And I'm so glad y'all could come out tonight. We have a gentleman here speaking this evening. Everybody loves him and respects him, unless of course you're sitting in the back of a patrol car, handcuffed. He is loved and admired by the people that work for him, and I think he's done a great job in keeping our county nice and safe. And I've also talked to sheriff's deputies in other counties, and they just love him. What can I say? It is my honor and my privilege to introduce to you the Sheriff of Putnam County, Gator DeLoach.
Thank you, Yoma, for that very warm introduction. You're too kind. See if I can get this up a little higher where you can hear me. First and foremost, let me say what a pleasure it is to be here with each of you tonight. There's a few people here in the audience with me that are very special to me. I want to take a moment to recognize them. They were just recognized as new club members, and it's Bobby and Melissa Crosby. Their son, Bob, and I have been lifelong friends for many years, probably too many for me to count at this point. And Bob spent just as much time at our house as I did theirs. And I dare say, had it not been for Bobby and Melissa's influence and keeping the two of us straight, because we were two impish young teenagers who loved to find mischief, but had it not been for their guidance, as well as my parents and many other people who were instrumental in shaping us and making certain that we turned into good young men, I may not be where I am today. So thank you for all that you've done for me. I've got a multitude of things that I want to cover tonight, so if you see me shuffling around my notes here, Colonel Wells and I got together a few days ago and put together some talking points. I'm going to jump around a little bit, but I want to make this as interactive as possible. If you have a question during my comments, please feel free to raise your hand and we can address it then. If you'd like some additional information, or if you'd like to hold those questions until the end, that will be absolutely fine with me as well. Again, it's my pleasure to be here with you. Another comment I want to make about the club, though, is Republicans get it right. If only everyone else would take notice. We just elected a new slate of officers for this club, and we did it with excellence and without any controversy. So give yourself a hand. I was originally going to start out by talking about some crime statistics, and if any of this information seems repetitive from the last time I was here, I apologize. I'm going to touch just briefly on a lot of different topics tonight, but I'm actually going to put crime on the back burner for just a few minutes and talk about some other things. Whenever I took office on January 3rd of 2017, to say that the sheriff's office was in dire straits is probably a gross understatement. We were critically short in not only patrol, but also corrections and law enforcement. And I'll be the first to tell you that I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but what I am smart enough to do is to build a very good, qualified team of individuals, not the least of which is my Chief Deputy, Colonel Joe Wells, who's here tonight. Joe, if you would, please stand and be recognized. You've all heard me say this at least 100 times, if not 10,000. This guy wakes up every morning with a single-minded purpose, and it's to make me look good. in spite of how difficult I make it for him, he somehow still manages to get it done. And I owe him a tremendous debt of gratitude for the time, effort, and his heart and soul that he pours into this county, just like the rest of our employees and I do on a daily basis. And he's to be commended for his efforts. So just to put it in perspective, like I said, in January of 2016, the starting salary for a deputy sheriff was $29,120, barely above the poverty line. With a very strong partnership with our county commission, not the least of which is Commissioner Harvey, who's sitting here to my left, we have made some significant strides in providing our employees some much needed benefits and increases in pay so they can at least make a decent living wage and be able to support a family and raise children. So as it stands right now, the starting salary for a deputy sheriff is now 55.1% higher than it was in 2016. And again, we always say that it takes a village, and it certainly does to build a successful law enforcement organization. Many hands had some contributions in this, but it had not been for the strong partnership that we built with Commissioner Harvey and the rest of the Board of County Commissioners, none of this would have been possible. Communications operator salaries is something else I want to touch on. And I don't have the number in front of me right now exactly what it was, but to say that it was, that many of them were, or all of them were too prideful, but quite frankly, they probably should have been standing in a line for government assistance. Their salary is now 61.44% higher than it was in 2016. Our line supervisor at the level of sergeant was probably one of the lowest paid, commensurate with their level of responsibility. And I'm proud to stand in front of you here today and tell you that a brand new sergeant at the sheriff's office salary is now just north of 65% higher than it was in 2016. Now, we talk about government spending and government waste. And that's something that has always just been something that I have struggled with over the years. But I believe in spending your hard-earned tax dollars responsibly and investing them where they're best going to serve this community. At the time when I took office, we were critically short deputies, corrections officers, and communications officers. We were an entire shift short, actually a little over that, more than 25% short in patrol, substantially shorter than that in corrections, and substantially shorter than that in our communications bureau as well. So these raises, although not singly responsible for the retention of our employees, have certainly played a big part in it. And I want to thank each and every one of you, in addition to the county commission, for all the contributions that you make to our community every day. A few other things we did, and I'll be very brief on these. From the time that I was a young deputy, whenever I first started, we got paid once a month. Well, just imagine a young deputy starting a family that brought home $1,184 a month. I was expected to live on that. Now, here's the travesty I always tell people. When I made that, I had more money in my pocket in my bank account than what I do today. But there's this little thing called life. We get married, we start a family, we raise children, and things have gotten expensive. As we know, inflation is a huge problem right now that has certainly touched and affected each and every one of us individually. Something that we've got to continue to push back against and advocate for. But enough said about that. We introduced, for the first time in the history of the Sheriff's Office, a step pay plan. I can tell you this was one of the biggest benefits that we have been able to extend to our deputies thus far, because it's rewarding them for their hard work and their extra effort that they put in. We introduced a college tuition assistance program with the assistance of the GRIT Foundation that was founded by Representative Kat Kamick. As of today, 38 members have benefited from this tuition assistance, and 7 have earned college degrees as a result. We were also able, at no charge to the sheriff's office or to you, the taxpayer, to introduce some additional life insurance benefits through the Armed Forces Benefit Association. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Armed Forces Benefit Association, but they were actually founded shortly after September 11th of 2001, because as you're aware, there were multiple first responders who were, the program was not founded then, but they included first responders in those benefits following September 11th. As most of you are aware, there were multiple first responders, several thousand, who lost their lives and were tragically denied insurance money that their families were rightfully due, because this was classified as an act of terror. So the Armed Forces Benefit Association saw that this was a significant problem that affected not only law enforcement, but fire rescue and EMS personnel across the country. And at absolutely no charge to the sheriff's office or the employee, give every first responder who comes and signs up for it a $5,000 life insurance policy, with the option to buy more at a substantially discounted rate. And the way that they're able to do that is the Armed Forces benefit is actually administered through the Pentagon, and as crazy as it may seem, is structured much in the same way that a nonprofit is. So very low overhead, and because of that low overhead, they're able to keep their premiums low, and it's a significant benefit that has greatly improved the morale and the health of our deputies. So we're very pleased to offer that. We were also able to partner with someone who's able to provide free financial counseling for our employees. And something that I care a lot about, we actually were able to purchase memberships for each of our deputies into the Florida Deputy Sheriff's Association, which gave them their own brand. And this includes legal coverage. If they are ever found in the unfortunate circumstance where they find themselves in the midst of a deadly force scenario. We were able to develop a agency member-led advisory committee. So members of this committee change about every 6 months, and they represent their peers in advising senior leadership and myself on such issues as critical policy changes, selection of equipment, changes in procedures, and new programs to adopt. We very quickly realized that we were dealing with a new generation of employee, a new generation of law enforcement. And as much as we were resistant to embrace that paradigm shift, we very quickly realized that if we didn't, they were going to leave us by. They had opportunities to seek employment at other agencies and go to work other places, but by forming this member advisory committee, it gave them some skin in the game and some buy-in, and has been largely successful and a significant contribution to reducing our employee turnover and attrition. So I'm very, very proud of some of those accomplishments. We were also able to conduct comprehensive agency assessments to determine our members' level of workplace satisfaction and stress. And I'm going to tell you that we're not perfect, but by and large, and Yoma alluded to this from some of our deputies that she's had an opportunity to chat with over the last several years and months, employee morale is, I'm going to take a point of privilege here and say, in my opinion, it's probably at an all-time high, and that's something that we should all be incredibly proud of. So enough about employee benefits. Let's talk about a few other things. And I'm just going to kind of breeze through these. We have continued to maintain a membership in a task force with the DEA and also with the FBI. Many of you may remember back in 2014 through 2016, there was a dark cloud over the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office and a few select administration members were the subject of a federal investigation that was led by the FBI. Very pleased and also relieved to tell you that I was not a subject of that investigation, nor was Colonel Wells. I had an opportunity to meet with the special agent in charge of the FBI just a few days after taking office, and he assured me that investigation was closed and actually offered an opportunity for us to partner with the FBI in a task force role, of which we're still participating in to this day. We've maintained a membership in the Florida Department of Law Enforcement Tri-County Drug Task Force, which is a HIDA initiative, or High Intensity Drug Trafficking Initiative, a program administered by the federal government that provides grant and salary funding to augment our drug enforcement efforts. We have continued to maintain with all of our surrounding agencies, Putnam, Clay, Alachua, and Bradford, what we call the Four Corners Agreement, and you may have heard me touch on that in previous meetings. It allows us to very closely work with those agencies that surround us to very quickly and expeditiously intercept fugitives who don't respect jurisdictional boundaries. We're also, and I'm very proud of this, and the hard work that my team has put into us becoming a founding member of the Homeland Security Intercept Task Force, which targets human trafficking, child exploitation, and child pornography. The task force consists of local, state, and federal law enforcement partners, and some that we're not allowed to talk about. As sheriff, and also members of my leadership team, also serve on as various boards and advisory boards, such as the Florida Sheriff's Association, the Florida Deputy Sheriff's Association, Roadheaver Boys Ranch, the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce, Habitat for Humanity, the 1024 Foundation, the Lee Conley House, the Bread of Life, the Regional Criminal Justice Training Council, North Florida HIDA, which I spoke of just a few moments ago, the Public Safety Coordinating Council, Community Mental Health, and the Boy Scouts of America. So to say that we are heavily invested in this community is probably a gross understatement, and I'm incredibly proud of all the volunteer hours that our members contribute on a daily basis to supporting these great organizations. Now we're going to get to some of the meat and potatoes. Last time I was here, I think, just by show of hands, how many of you remember me talking about our new, I say new, it's not necessarily new, but our crime control strategy that we adopted about 4 or 5 years ago, called stratified policing? Okay, so the majority of the room remembers. Good. So if we'd held a pop quiz tonight, you would have all scored at least 100. So very briefly, this crime control strategy called stratified policing encompasses several best practices from models that have been used over the years to include intelligence-led policing, community-oriented policing, problem-oriented policing, and sort of amalgamates them all into one strategy. This has allowed us to properly assign accountability for crime, and has facilitated creative, comprehensive, partnership-based solutions to crime trends in Putnam County. The strategy has been a significant reason for the unprecedented crime reduction that we have seen in Putnam County. So now, for the first time ever, we are publicly releasing some of our progress. You're the first to hear it, that we have made since 2016. In 2016, we had 10 homicides county, and I do want to make the distinction. These are countywide statistics, so this includes all of the municipalities incorporated into these numbers, because it's my belief as sheriff that even though we may not be the primary law enforcement provider in some of those areas, it's still our county, and at the end of the day, I still hold myself and my staff personally responsible and accountable for those areas. So in 2016, we had 10 homicides. In 22, we had a total of 7 for a 30% decrease in homicides. Sex crimes. In 2016, we had 35 sex crimes that we reported to Florida Department of Law Enforcement and the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting. In 2022, we had a total of 17 for an overall reduction of 51.4% in sex crimes. Get ready for this one, make sure you're sitting down. In 2016, we had 54 violent robberies that were reported to us. In 2022, that number dropped by more than half, with 21 reported, for a total reduction of 61.1%. In 2016, we had 273 aggravated assaults reported to us. In 2022, that number dipped well under 100, with 74 reported, for a total decrease of 72.9, almost 73%. Burglaries in 2016. Now this includes vehicle burglaries, residential burglaries, business burglaries. We had a total of 530 that were reported to us. Folks, in 2022, we had 176 countywide that were reported to us. A reduction of 66.8, almost 67%. Theft in 2016, 1,374. In 2022, 890, for a reduction of 35.2%. Here's something I'm really proud of. Violent crime in 2016, we had 368 cases reported to us. In 2022, a total of 190, for a reduction of almost 50%, 48.3%. Non-violent crimes, which is all those other crimes that aren't necessarily classified by UCR or NIBRS, which is a new system the FBI is using. 1,904 crimes reported. In 2022, a total of 1,066, for almost a 45% reduction. Total crime in 2016, 2,272. In 2022, 1,085, for over a 50% reduction. Here's something we can all be proud of. Crimes per 100,000 people, which is what one of the metrics that the FBI uses to compare us to other jurisdictions. A total of 3,114 crimes reported to us. In 2022, 1,608, for a 48.3% reduction. Now here's some more impressive numbers. As it stands right now, present year excluded, which I will also tell you we expect to see a significant drop in as well, Putnam's crime rate is 17.6 lower than the state of Florida as a whole. Give yourselves a pat on the back and another round of applause, because had it not been with the community partnering with us and you willing to share information with us, we would have never enjoyed any of these successes. So give yourself a round of applause. Now here's some other numbers that really just tickle me pink. Putnam's crime rate is 6.7% lower than Volusia County, 13.2% lower than Bradford County, 21.8% lower than Marion County, and 49.9% lower than Alachua County. we're not done. We still have some work to do. Sheriff Michelle Cook in Clay County is a very good friend of mine. She's actually engaged with us over the last several months for us to share some information with her about our crime control strategy. And I told her, frankly, I was hesitant to share it with her because we were very quickly outpacing Clay County with reduction in crime. So as it stands, as of right now, Putnam County's crime rate is only 5.9% higher than Clay County. We're catching them, and I anticipate if the trend continues the way that it has, we may actually fall lower than Clay County for the first time in at least the history of the sheriff's office since I've been employed there. Now, you have to take these with a grain of salt. I'm going to share with you, just for perspective, some numbers from Flagler and St. John's, but we also have to consider that those are largely bedroom communities with significantly higher populations and a significantly higher proportion of retirees than what Putnam County has. So our crime rate is actually about 39% higher than Flagler County and 58.5% higher than St. Johns County. But we're not giving up, we're coming for them too. In fact, I want to share with you just some quick notes from a meeting that we have today. So as part of our crime control strategy, our stratified policing model, we actually have a monthly accountability meeting where all the department directors come in, and give us presentations on emergent trends in crime in Putnam County. As of last month, this is our 6 months comparison to the previous year. You'll see the previous year highlighted in blue and the current year highlighted in orange underneath. So this is for the first 6 months of last year and this year. We were at 302 crimes, and this year, comparing apples to apples, 260, so another substantial reduction that we should all be incredibly proud of. So that's a lot about crime and a little bit of information about our law enforcement operational enhancements. I want to talk now about some of the other efforts that have been completed and are some that are still underway in corrections and some of our other departments. We know through statistics that persons who experience acute recidivism or return to incarceration 3 or more times in 5 years make up approximately 70% of our county jail population. And we also know that about 80% of persons experiencing frequent recidivism are incarcerated for minor nonviolent crimes that are at least in part due to a substance abuse disorder or other mental illness. With the cost of housing care for inmates averaging about $150 a day, it stands to reason that reducing recidivism and providing life and employment skills can not only save taxpayer dollars, but create workforce and restore families, most importantly. As a result, we have changed the way and completely changed the face of our Department of Corrections. We now place an emphasis on providing qualified inmates with proven programs for behavior modification, education, life skills, and job skills to help them become successful, self-supporting, tax-paying, productive members of society. Here's just a few programs I'd like to highlight. We've installed advanced technology inside of our jail to ensure accurate tracking of inmate movement, and also brings another layer of accountability to our employees and correct release procedures. We've created a programs coordinator position to organize and facilitate inmate improvement programs and develop community partnerships as well. We currently have an adult education program where someone who desires can further their education and complete their GED. We have male and female recovery pods that are now fully functional as inpatient substance abuse disorder treatment facilities right within the walls of our jail. We also have multiple options for substance abuse disorder treatments, which are both faith-based and non-faith oriented. In addition, we're also offering parenting classes. We have an anger management and batterers accountability program, enhanced mental health services with licensed mental health providers, reentry programs to facilitate successful and crime-free family reunification and community reentry, healthy lifestyle and medical and medication management education. We have an animal care program now at the Sheriff's Office, and job skills programs, which include sewing, embroidery, culinary skills, safe food handling, grounds maintenance and care, small equipment operation, and general labor, as well as several successful job placement programs with local vendors and employers to move inmates themselves to the workforce with community employers within 24 hours of their release from our facility. Proud to say that we're now partnering with Camarco Products, who is our local frozen foods processing facility just to the west of us here in the business park, as well as the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners, the City of Palatka, Goodwill, and Beck Automotive Group. Moving right along, I want to talk a little bit about school safety and juvenile crime prevention. And I will say that we've got some work to do here, but we're working very closely with the Florida Sheriff's Association through our legislative committee to draft and support legislation that will help us in this endeavor. As you're aware, years ago we rolled out, and we're one of the first in the state, I'm proud to say, a successful and very robust Guardian program. Our program was actually launched prior to the passing of the state law. This Guardian program trains and outlines, was used in the development of the current law. PCSO's Guardian program is a state model, and we're often called upon to assist other and sometimes much larger sheriff's office with implementation and development of similar programs. We've worked closely to enhance safety and weapons prevention equipment and protocols for high school athletic programs. We've added additional youth resource deputies for greater elementary school coverage and divided the county in half and added an additional youth resource sergeant for enhanced oversight and support of our youth resource deputies. Our youth resource deputies are such a valuable tool that they've become critical components in risk management assessments that are mandated by the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas School Safety Act of 2017. We just completed hosting our 5th PAL State of Florida boxing tournament. How many of you are familiar with PAL and the mission there? So it's our police athletic league that we partner with the school district and the sheriff's office. And it gives, it's an opportunity for mentorship. The primary focus of our program is boxing, but I'm here to tell you folks, we're not teaching them how to box. We're teaching them how to be responsible young adults, how to take individual accountability for their actions, and that program focuses on specifically targeting underage and at-risk youth. Through grant funding, we introduced a comprehensive mentoring program through PAL, and we've seen significant growth in both our PAL and Explorers program. We've been able to add additional PAL summer camps and partnered with the Florida Sheriff's Youth Ranch to host summer day camps in Putnam County. We've also instituted a program to provide law enforcement and corrections training scholarships for not only our PAL participants, but also for our Explorer youth. And I'm proud to tell you that not too long ago, we just hired our 14th local employee as a result of these 2 programs. We have program participants in not only law enforcement, but also corrections and our communications bureau as well. How am I doing on time? Okay. I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. I've got just a few more bullet points that I want to hit. We recognize that that mental health is a crisis that at some point has probably touched all of us. whether it be friends, family members, neighbors, or just acquaintances. And I'm here to tell you that we have committed to having at least 80% of our deputy sheriffs and communications operators fully trained in crisis intervention, which has been completed, with the added goal of having everyone within the organization 100% trained in crisis intervention. We've also undertaken advanced training for our crisis and hostage negotiators in de-escalating veterans who are in crisis. We've been fortunate enough to partner with SMA Behavioral Healthcare to form and operate the Crisis Stabilization and Triage Unit, or CTTU as we like to call it, because that's quite a mouthful. And essentially what that is mental health professionals who respond along with deputy sheriffs to stabilize those in mental health crisis, assist with Baker Acts, and offer ongoing services or wraparound services whenever that 72-hour evaluation is over with. We've also partnered with Children's Home Society to operate the Youth Crisis Mobile Response Team, which is mental health response or professionals that respond in the field to stabilize juveniles and young adults up to 25 years of age in mental health crisis or who are exhibiting disruptive behavior or partaking in risky behavior. We're also a participant in the Rural Communities Opioid Response Program and partner with SMA Behavioral Healthcare to open and operate the Putnam County Mental Health Drop-In Center. We continue to be a partner in the Putnam County Drug Court, of which we have seen tens, if not hundreds, of successes since the formation of that program. We also were a partner and instrumental in developing and maintaining the very first Putnam and St. John's Veterans Court. These are treatment courts such as veterans and drug courts are an alternative to the traditional docket that focuses on treatment as a means of preventing future criminal behavior, have a recidivism rate that is extremely low compared to traditional punishment, and cost only a fraction of what we're paying in repeated incarcerations. We've also been fortunate enough to partner with organizations such as Prisoners or Patients Not Prisoners to develop and provide restorative and stabilization to residents who commit minor and nonviolent crime, such as trespassing as a manifestation of mental illness or substance use, in place of incarceration, which more often than not only serves to exacerbate a lot of these mental health concerns that we're all dealing with and seeing in the media so frequently. Take a little bit to brag some more on our staff, specifically in corrections and some in other disciplines. I'm proud to say that 100% of all Florida model jail standard inspections, which are mandated by statute, have resulted in exceptional ratings with no findings. This includes both inspections with and without notice. We were nationally recognized for our trauma-informed investigation and interview procedures, and as part of this recognition, a member of the Sheriff's Office was actually asked to speak to over 3,000 law enforcement professionals from across the country on the success that we've experienced with these procedures. We've been awarded a statewide award for excellence in risk management and awarded re-accreditation with Excelsior status by the Florida Commission on Law Enforcement Accreditation. We've also had numerous individuals who have received recognition and awards by the Florida Commission Coalition Against Domestic Violence for excellence in domestic violence investigations and advocacy. Colonel Wells is very modest about this, but he was actually the recipient of one of those awards just a couple of years ago. We continue to have multiple deputy sheriffs and detectives who are recognized by Crime Stoppers of Northeast Florida for excellence in the performance of duty, and earned the distinction of recognition by the United States Army through the Army Pays program as a preferred employer for servicemen and women departing armed forces. We're also recognized by the U.S. Army and Coast Guard for excellent support of members while deployed to Afghanistan and Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, with their reserve units. And we alluded to this just a little bit ago, but the United States Department of Justice, not too long ago, but perhaps under a different administration, identified the crime control strategy that we're using, our stratified policing, as the one of the most innovative and promising recently developed strategies, and actually awarded the Putnam County Sheriff's Office a grant in the amount of $250,000, $250,000 to continue these efforts. But wait, there's more. So I want to talk now about some projects that we currently have underway. Some of you have seen it in the paper, but we are currently in the process of implementing a state-of-the-art 800 megahertz radio system, which is the newest generation of technology that is built to provide critical and reliable communications to our first responders, both on the law enforcement discipline and in the emergency services discipline across the county. This is actually a bit of a legacy project for me that I have been heavily involved in since 2012. And again, thanks to the great partnership with our Board of County Commissioners, we were finally able to bring this project in for a landing after multiple years of unsuccessfully identifying a source of funding. This system provides multiple improvements, but perhaps the most promising is that upon completion and turning the key on this system, our deputies, EMTs, paramedics, firefighters, and all first responders will now have 95% coverage from the hip using their portable radios. So we'll actually be able to talk to dispatch for once in the first, gosh, as long as I can remember. And I can't tell you how excited I am about it. Phase one of our body-worn camera program is complete and has been wildly successful. Phase two is expected to be completed on or before the 1st of December of this year, and that will equip all patrol, crime suppression, traffic enforcement, K-9, and high school youth resource and civil process deputy sheriffs and sergeants with body-worn cameras. Now, you may remember me back in 2016 and a few other times that I was initially adverse to the prospect of us going to body cameras. I have seen and realized some very real benefits that we see from these cameras, not the least important of which is the protection of our deputies and men and women who work for us from people who make false, misleading, and just downright lying allegations against our deputies. We will very soon welcome a new four-legged furry friend who has the ability to sniff out gunpowder and explosives that will be added to our school resource unit. We also plan to institute a traffic enforcement unit with positions made available through reorganization with the goal of reducing traffic crashes, fatalities, and DUI-related crimes. We've recently updated firearms with optics options. Many of you are gun owners here. You're familiar with some of the smaller reflex type optics that are available to mount on handguns and a very small signature to give our deputies the very best in technology to protect themselves and to protect everyone else here, and I'm incredibly proud of that. Something you may or may not have heard about that, again, has been a bit of a legacy project for us is sometime in the fall of next year, for the very first time in the history of our sheriff's office, we will introduce our very first aviation unit. Now, how many of you, does anyone have a history or background in aviation? Well, to say that these units can be cost prohibitive to start up is probably a gross understatement. But fortunately, through a great partnership with my good friend Rob Hardwick, who is the sheriff of St. Johns County, they are donating a fully equipped law enforcement patrol-ready helicopter that is military surplus to us at absolutely no cost. And in addition to that, have offered to help us with the maintenance of that particular aircraft. And in addition, are providing us with enough spare parts to keep that particular airframe operational well beyond my tenure as sheriff. But it doesn't stop there. We recognize that we live in Putnam County, and there comes some fiscal constraints with that. Through no additional cost to the sheriff's office, we were able to seek out, vet, and recruit a veteran pilot who has in excess of 8,000 flight hours on this particular aircraft, who came from a military background and has a particular expertise in the startup of these units. He's currently full-time employed with St. Johns County Mosquito Control and flies for them on a daily basis, but has graciously agreed to offer his services to help us stand up this unit, and again, at no additional charge to us. We also have some enhancements and services improvements in our fleet maintenance and supply to deal specifically with some personnel-related issues, supply chain shortages, and technology considerations. Also have plans this year to create an additional inmate work crew to enhance our PCSO facilities maintenance and to complete additional community projects that are much needed of some attention around here. We also have significant enhancements and increased responsibility for jail criminal investigations unit with a focus on our inmate behavior accountability, reduction of the number of disciplinary referrals, enhanced contraband interdiction, intelligence gathering and sharing, inmate communications monitoring, Prison Rape Elimination Act investigations, and Florida Model Jail Standards compliance. Again, all at no cost to you, the taxpayer, through some reorganization, responsible reorganization. We're constantly reevaluating positions and programs to see where we can cut costs and implement and introduce new and innovative programs that have a direct benefit not only to our residents, but also to everyone that we serve and the Northeast Florida community. Folks, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come and spend an evening with you here tonight. And most of all, thank you for your continued faith in me and for allowing me to continue to serve as your Putnam County Sheriff. It's been a pleasure.
I was going to say, before he walks away, I think we have time for a couple of questions, if anyone has any questions.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Gator, are your on-the-road deputies, do all of them have bulletproof vests now?
They do, yes, ma'am. As a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, you may have noticed that we went to a different style of uniform, and you'll appreciate this with your background in physical therapy. We were seeing a lot of chronic low back injuries from the traditional duty belts that we've all seen law enforcement wear over the years. So one of the goals, they were some kind of a multifaceted approach, but one of our goals was to get all of that weight up off of their hips and onto a load-bearing vest that actually houses ballistic panels and an external carrier to not only get that weight evenly distributed, but also to reduce our core body temperature. We participated in a study. How long ago has that been, Colonel? 10 years ago, probably? The study that we did about core body temperature and concealed ballistic vest. And what we found through this evidence-based peer-reviewed study was that wearing an internal concealed ballistic vest raises your core body temperature between 7 and 9 degrees, depending on the individual and the time of year. So with these load-bearing vests, our deputies now have an opportunity, if they're on a scene and get overheated, or when they can relax in their cars for just a few moments, to unzip these outer carriers, take them off, cool off for a few minutes, and then immediately don the vest to go to their next call. Yes, Tim?
Fentanyl and other trafficking, deaths, problems, arrests.
This thing's not wanting to cooperate with me. Fentanyl continues to be the scourge of our society. I don't need to tell everyone here. You already know, you're all very well educated, smart people. The problem that we're having with fentanyl is directly related to the crisis that we're having at our southern border. We see fentanyl coming across the border by the ton daily, coming directly from China into Mexico and right across our open border. Yes, it's a problem here, and I can tell you that just a couple of weeks ago, as a matter of fact, it was the evening of Blackest Homecoming. As I was leaving the stadium that Thursday night, one of our deputies was actually out on a traffic stop with a known habitual drug user and dealer. The deputy actually stopped these two in the Save-A-Lot parking lot. I arrived a few minutes later to back him and several other units up, and he was handcuffed behind his back. There was another deputy watching him. The deputy who ultimately was exposed to fentanyl actually went around to the back of his car to retrieve an evidence bag, and while he was at the back of his car, unbeknownst to him or the deputy that was standing in front of this, I won't use the term gentleman, ne'er-do-well, was able to reach into his back pocket, pull out a small baggie of fentanyl, tear it apart, and shake it loose. Just as the deputy was coming around the side of his vehicle, he saw what was going on, tackled this person. The fentanyl, since it was aerosolized, the deputy got a face full of it, and within about 15 to 20 seconds, collapsed. Fortunately, through the quick thinking of some of our other deputy sheriffs there, we administered a dose of Narcan to him, immediately called rescue, and had him transported to the hospital. And I'm happy to report that he is alive and well and back on duty.
Wow.
So Tim, that is our 4th or 5th fentanyl exposure just this calendar year. This is a problem that plagues us all. One of the issues that we see with fentanyl is that it's such a powerful drug. It was created, when it was created, it was very well intentioned, and it was specifically and narrowly designed and engineered to treat breakthrough pain in, or breakthrough chronic pain in terminally ill patients. So very effective for what it does, however, incredibly dangerous, especially the Chinese varieties that we're seeing, because it's adulterated with God only knows what all goes into that stuff. But incredibly dangerous. Just a little bit of additional information and perspective on fentanyl. Less than 2 milligrams of fentanyl is enough to kill everyone or one person in this room. And when you talk about that in comparison, if you'll see me afterwards, I have a graphic representation that shows in great detail exactly what 2 milligrams of fentanyl looks like on the head of a penny. It will blow your mind.
Yes, Sheriff. How many substations, if any, do you have in Putnam County?
So we actually have several. We have one in Crescent City. There's also one on the campus of Browning Pierce Elementary, one on the campus of Mellon Elementary, and one on the campus of Interlochen High School.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
John?
I want you to talk about the mounted unit.
Oh, our mounted unit, yes. So many of you may have seen us on some new horses recently as an augment to our personal horses that we've ridden in the parade for years. Certainly our gain. The folks over in St. Johns County did not, unfortunately, appreciate and realize all the benefits of having a mounted unit. They were complaining that the horses were spreading manure on the beach and down some of the local streets, in spite of the fact that they had a pooper scooper crew coming along directly behind them to clean it up. They didn't appreciate the benefit of it. The sheriff I got tired of receiving complaints about the horses in spite of their excellent behavior. So we graciously accepted a gift, which included 2 Percheron draft horses, a horse trailer, tack, and all the other accompanying equipment. Certainly a great addition for us.
One interesting thing to that, these horses live now on the Road River Boys Ranch. And the boys are taking care of these horses right alongside our deputies. Our deputies go out and riding horses next to the boys and really just giving an opportunity to expose those young men, who you all know come from those challenging situations in the world, to have daily, frequent, positive interaction with our deputy sheriffs, and it's working out wonderfully. So our horses live at Road River Boys Ranch.
Wow. Yeah, huge win for us, huge win for the Boys Ranch. Not only does it provide us with a great, safe location to keep these beautiful horses, but also an opportunity for us to mentor these boys, and we couldn't be more thankful for that partnership that we share with them.
I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you, and I can't wait to vote for you again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your confidence and your support. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Yoma, we might need to screen her. She's sitting back there at a table with Tinker Green, and that concerns me a little bit.
There has been numerous instances of illegals coming into Florida's coastline. Have you seen the fentanyl connected with these coming through with our coastline is so vast?
I don't know that I can necessarily draw a corollary, not that there may not be one there, with illegals coming and approaching the coastline of Florida, but I can tell you the crisis at the border, as you are all keenly aware, is very real, and the fact of the matter is every town in America, regardless of what state you live in, is a border town.
Anyone else?
I'm just curious about something I read on the news. It was about white vans that were darkly tinted, that 2 men would come out and kidnap women around Florida. Okay. White vans that were darkly tinted in Florida. I read it on the news on my iPhone, and it was talking about they were going around kidnapping women in areas. 2 men would come out with a gun and kidnap and force the person in the van. I just want to know what your opinion of that, if that's true.
I'm not familiar with that particular story or the region in the state where that was occurring. So unfortunately, I don't have any information that I can share with you on it, but I do have a follow-up comment. I want to encourage each of you in your daily lives and your travels to continue to be extra vigilant. If you do not already have a firearm, I encourage you strongly to get one, educate yourself about the proper use of it and how to handle it effectively, and take steps to protect yourself by any means necessary if someone threatens your life or a loved one's life.
Anyone else?
Probably gonna have to be it. We're gonna start wrapping up. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So let me share a couple of things. First, we all know that we love having Gator come and give us an update, and we all should be very pleased because the lower our crime statistics go, the more attractive we look for people who want to come in and invest in our community, in businesses in particular, and which would then bring in more residents. So control growth, as we all know. So that's just important for us. And thank you for the mounted posse. I have to brag on myself. I was actually one of the I was one of the 6 people who actually started the first mounted posse in St. Johns County. So back in the day, I think it was in 1984 or 85 that we started the Mountain Posse. So we did a lot of things and had a lot of fun. So you guys will do the same thing, I'm sure, here. Please know that if you're running for office, and I saw we had Matt Reynolds, clerk of the court, come in. So hey, Matt. So know that if you are running for office, and I know Gator, I think you have filed again recently. Please bring your petitions. We know you need lots of petitions. Bring your petitions. We do have a couple of petitions up here on the front desk. We've got some for Gator and we have some for Les. But if you are, and I'm looking at you because you didn't have any of your petitions, but please bring your petitions. Let us sign on your behalf. So before you walk out, please grab a petition, sign for Gator so he can have a pocket full of them from this group when he leaves out of here tonight. And take extras and do our party a favor. You know, let's get their names on the ballot without them having to spend the money, because it can be pretty pricey to get their names on the ballots. Understanding that it doesn't have to just be a Republican that can sign their petitions. It could be a Democrat, it could be an independent. So as long as they're a registered voter, they can sign the petition. So please take the opportunity and help with that. We'll go through a little quickly. We had the yard sale. David, you want to give a quick update on what happened at the yard sale? We had everyone is having a yard sale in Pomona Park. That was this past Saturday, and we had a tent there, and David organized that group.
Yes, we had a good turnout. We got quite a few petitions signed for candidates. Got to meet a lot of people. Got a number of people interested in the club and got signed up for our newsletter. And it was overall a good time. Look forward to doing it again next year.
Terrific. Now, before I let you off the hook, who watched the debates last night? Who in here watched the debates? Raise your hand. Watched the debates. Oh, not as many as I thought. So we actually David sent out an email. So if you watched the debate, there's a little survey for you to take as to who you thought won the debate, and then there's another question, and then David's going to tally up that survey information and put it in our next newsletter out to everyone, and we can share that. So please look for that email and answer that. For upcoming events, and while I give these next few updates, we are doing the 50-50 raffle right after this. So if you don't have your tickets yet, raise your hand and Larry Harvey will come see you. So while we're giving these last updates, because you're mobile, you're a bigger target. So our next board meeting is December the 7th at Beef O'Brady's. There is no December meeting. Instead, we have our December Christmas party. This year, we're structuring things a little different. In the past, the Christmas party was for members only. This year, it's going to be a membership drive. So we would like members to bring someone, Republicans, so please make sure that you ask them their party affiliation, and bring a Republican to the Christmas party. It will be the December 14th at the Women's Club, where it's been in the past. We've changed things up. You do not have to bring a covered dish. It's going to be catered by Blue Water Bay. So great food, as we all know, comes out of Blue Water Bay. There will also be, instead of a DJ, we're going to have a live band. The band is Fat Cactus, so they'll be there. And then we have the tables are rounds of 6. So if you want to know how many in your party that you could sit at your table, we're doing rounds of 6. So we have plenty of elbow room. You know, we want to spread out, especially when we start getting the plates of that food that we want to have. They will also be setting up a cash bar, so you'll be able to have a drink, and we'll have coffee and tea as well. The cost is $35. So if you want to purchase a chair or a table, you could do that here tonight with Buddy, or you can do it online. You got an email last night, I think kind of late last night or late yesterday afternoon, was it, or was it this morning? Oh, it was this morning. So if you look in your emails, you got a Christmas invitation this morning to the party. So let me just let you know that we have 25 tables because that's all the people we can fit in the women's club. We have already sold 6 tables. So in less than 24 hours. So if you're interested, get out there, get your table, get your tickets, invite a couple of friends, see Buddy, he'll take your money. He'll be doing that at least for another 30 days, and then he's finished with his time. So with that said, I think that yes ma'am. What's on the menu? Larry, do you have a menu yet?
One of them.
Juana has. Yes, go ahead, Les.
We're going to have a silent auction. If anybody has any items they would like to donate as a gift basket or gift card or something like that, we'd like to try to put together maybe 4 or 5 different baskets or 4 or 5 different items as a silent auction. The proceeds from the silent auction are going to be donated to the Education Foundation, so it's going to a good cause. So if anybody has any items they'd like to donate, leave with us and we'll put them together.
Thank you, Les, for that. I forgot to let people know that. Last year, our charity was the Putnam First Cancer, and before that we had a nursing home. So this year it is going to be the Education Foundation. So we're really excited about that as well. Larry, you finished counting money? You want to make an announcement?
I do. All right. Who all lives out in West Putnam? Okay. County Road 310 Bridge is finally opened as of this evening. Okay. Yeah. That's very important for this county because a lot of traffic goes back through that road and comes out on 315 to 19. That was something, I'm going to tell you a little something. Years ago when Buddy was a commissioner, that was in his district, DOT was going to shut that bridge down and close that road altogether because of the weight limit on there. And we worked very hard. Senate President Simpson allocated $2 million of state money to fix that bridge that Putnam County would have had to spend. We didn't have to spend that money. We worked very diligently. Now, when you work with contractors, there's going to be delays, but we finally got it open. So County Road 310 is open. You can go home that way if you want to, and let your friends and neighbors know. So we appreciate it very much. Okay, that's it, Rhonda.
All right.
Okay, Sheriff, you want to pull the?
You want to pull the ticket?
You're the speaker.
And we'll get with you. We're going to have a couple of entrees. It looks like a blackened copia and a beef tenderloin over stroganoff. We're going to have some roasted vegetables and potatoes. There'll be a chocolate cake, key lime pie, and pecan pie. So I think that's sort of the start of our menu, but you know, it's subject to change. So, but as